Hey, what's going on, everyone? You are now listening to Resilience in Action with Erin Brown. Fight the flight came to me after overcoming a scary and uncomfortable situation, which is literally what it was of scary and it was uncomfortable. I'm not going to go deep into details, but to make a really, really long story short, I was on a cliff. This cliff was overlooking a body of water. Everyone was jumping in the water. People wanted me to jump in the water. I didn't want to jump in the water. But I jumped in the water. I'm alive to tell the story. And what it all boils down to is I fought my natural instinct to run, fight the flight, or what a lot of people call fight or flight, right? Fight or flight response. Your body is getting prepared to either run or face the situation. I fought that instinct to run, hence fight the flight. Okay. I speak a lot about resilience, and Webster Dictionary's definition of resilience was basically learning to adjust to difficulties, adjust and overcome difficulties, right? I look at resilience as adjusting to fear or the discomfort, right? Whatever it is, we're scared of a lot of things. A lot of things make us uncomfortable, make us discomfortable. A lot of things make us uncomfortable. Learning to adjust and become water, basically. Water can be a solid, can be a liquid, can be a gas. It can just adjust to whatever it is, that whatever the situation is, it calls for it to be. So you just adjust, right? Why is resilience important, right? Think of some of the most influential people in the world, right? Oprah Winfrey. She had a crazy story, crazy background and upbringing. Mel Robbins lost her job, suffering from depression, didn't want to get up, stayed in bed. Mel Robbins developed the 5-second rule. Tina Turner, everybody knows Tina Turner. You better shake his tail feather if you don't know who Tina Turner is, right? Tina Turner, everybody, if you've ever seen What's Love Got to Do with It, go that way, please. It's loud. Or turn your volume down. Sorry about that. Everybody knows who Tina Turner is, right? And the craziness that she had to overcome. Nelson Mandela, right? The list goes on about people who have achieved greatness after having not so much of a good upbringing or past, right? But listen, if those people are too big for you to feel like you can relate to, you can relate to me, right? You can relate to me. I'm right here, right? Sexually abused at a very, very young age. Suicidal, suffer from depression. I abused alcohol, right? And I talked about this a little while ago on another live that I did. But that's just a few. That's just a little bit of what I have been through, and still coping and dealing with today, right? Learning how to cope with difficulties is one of the most important things I think anyone could ever learn, because difficulties will come always. From any direction, no matter where you are, no matter how the status you think you have, you're going to run into a wall. You're going to run into obstacles, right? Also, getting really comfortable with being uncomfortable. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now. All you have to do is sit in front of the news for 2 seconds and you're like, I'm ready to go, like, drink a bottle of whiskey or like do whatever vices that you have. But getting comfortable with being uncomfortable in those situations that may help you develop and evolve. And most importantly, you have to be 110 million bajillion trillion gajillion % honest with yourself, right? Honesty is key. Honesty is the policy when it comes to these 3 steps that I'm about to give you, right? But before I give you that, what goals have you had for a while that you haven't accomplished because of some level of fear? Just think about it. If you tuned in to my live on, what's today, Thursday? On Tuesday, I gave you a little homework assignment. I wanted you to write down your fear and then your goals. And I wanted you to bring them with you today so we can mastermind and mesh them together, right? So what goals have you yet to accomplish because some level of fear or being uncomfortable is standing in your way? If you feel confident and comfortable enough, go ahead and leave the comments if you want to. If not, if you want to just DM me, you can DM me. If you don't, if you just want to write it down, write it down. But I need you to take action, right? First action is acknowledging it, writing it down. Writing it down is important, right? So, jumping into the 3 steps, right? The 3 A's of fighting the flight. Acknowledgement, 1. Acceptance, 2. Ascendance, 3. Or like my old boss at Home Depot used to say, tree. Acknowledgement, right? So you have your fear, your list of fears, your list of goals, right? Acknowledgement. Start here. What are you afraid of? What is it? What is it that you're afraid of? Okay? Like, are you afraid of asking this person to go get coffee? And let me be clear, there's no grand fear and there's no small fear. So what's scary to me may not be scary to you. What's uncomfortable for me may not be uncomfortable for you. But what is it? What are you afraid of? Right? Allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you're feeling in that space. Whatever it is, it could be anything. Allow yourself to feel it, right? Be honest with yourself. I spoke about honesty earlier in this. Be honest with yourself. Because at the end of the day, you can't fix something if you don't know how or where it's broken, right? So acknowledge it, right? Be honest with yourself. Where is the issue, right? What am I scared of? 2, let's go on to number 2, acceptance, right? With acceptance comes understanding. Like, you have to understand where this fear is coming from, where it's rooted in, what it's rooted in. Where was the seed planted that where you are now the situation made you feel uncomfortable. Where were you? What was it? Was it childhood trauma? Like, this is what when I mean be honest. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. I'm not saying you're going to love this every step of the way. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. You're going to want to quit, but you can't. Be honest with yourself. Childhood trauma, past experience, maybe adolescence, maybe your, younger adulthood, or wherever you are in your life, something happened in that moment that made you feel the fear or discomfort that you're feeling, that is actually standing in the way of your best self over here, right? Acknowledgement, acceptance, ascendance, right? Rise above the noise. Because to be quite honest with you, fear is just noise. It's taught. It's taught, right? It's taught. It is actually scientifically proven that we are only scared of two things. We only fear two things when we are born. That is loud noises and falling. Those are the only two fear that we are born with. Everything else is taught. Like, literally, you go to touch the stove and your hand gets popped because mommy knows it's hot, daddy knows it's hot, you don't, right? So now maybe you don't like to cook. I don't know. And it's bigger, it's grander, than something like that. But that was just a small example. Maybe like your fear of rejection. So maybe when you were younger, you did something amazing, or as a child, you thought it was amazing, right? And you ran to tell your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister or somebody. You ran and you were so excited about this thing that you did. Look what I did. It was amazing. Like, oh, it's great. And they're like, get that out of here. That's trash. Go back and do it again. Like, just like that. That's garbage. Like, that's really something to think about. Like, go back to those moments in your life that made you uncomfortable. Where was the seed planted? I'm trying my hardest not to acknowledge my cat, who is talking back to me right now. And I know you hear him. That's Jay. Didn't happen. I'm literally trying to keep it together and keep that composure. But go back to where that seed was planted. It is literally your decision not to rise above. Listen. I want you to listen to this and sit with this for a second. Your decision not to rise above the noise is fear within itself. You know why? Because the only thing that we are born scared of is falling and loud noises. And unless your fear is falling, which it could be, absolutely could be, or loud noises, which it could be, it absolutely could be. Less of those two things, somewhere down the line, it was created, and somebody gave you their fear, and you took it in as your own, and now you're holding it. You're like holding it hostage as, oh, this is mine, right? But what you don't know is that fear is blocking you from going to your next level, right? Hey, y'all. Listen, it is time for some action. If you are enjoying the content that you've been listening to, I need you to rate and review. That's it. That's all. Make sure you go to wherever you're listening to this podcast and rate and review it for us. We appreciate you so much. Let's get back to some resilience. So just to recap on those 3 steps, I want you to acknowledge the fear or discomfort. I want you to accept and understand that fear and discomfort and where it comes from. And then I want you to ascend above that fear and discomfort and the noise. Like these steps are proven to work, but they will only work if you work. You have to do the work. It's not going to, like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take effort. It's going to take time. I think the hardest part about this is being honest with yourself. That honesty is going to be difficult because honestly, when it comes to accountability, nobody likes to look in the mirror. Nobody likes to look in the mirror. Self-accountability? No. Somebody rather have 7 years of bad luck than look in the mirror. I'm just saying. So that might be the toughest part. But I believe in you, and I believe that you can overcome it. And you can go above it. But you have to want to. You have to see the bigger picture. As in, like, okay, this is my fear. I acknowledge my fear. I accept it. And when I accept it, I understand it. Right? If I understand it, then I can do something about it. Right? And then I do something about it. Face your fear, whatever it may be. However you may want to face it, you face it. And then you ascend it. That's what happens in ascension. You face your fear and you rise above. Right? I've helped real people. Like, if you're on my Instagram or I think I did it on Facebook as well. If you look through my story, I literally put pictures, screenshots of people that I've helped and what they've said. It all boils down to this. What do you want? Right? What do you want? What do you want out of life? Do you want to continue to operate in your comfort zone? Or do you want to stretch and expand outside of it? It's like living in a small town and only knowing the people in that small town and never ever experiencing anywhere else in the world. Just a small town. Something to think about. Let's revisit the cliff. But instead of my cliff, I now give it to you. That's your cliff, right? It is time to overcome the fear and jump off the cliff. It's time to take the leap. There's no time like the present time. You can do it. I believe in you. Right? There's literally nothing standing in the way. Who said this on Martin? Was it Martin or was it Shanae? She moved everything out the way. She said, "It's there's nothing standing between you but space and opportunity." Right? I think she was about to fight Pam or something. I'm not too sure. I have to get back with that. But there's nothing standing between you but space and opportunity to take that leap, to jump. Right? I always refer back to video games, right? And I grew up with Atari. Atari was going out, Nintendo was coming in. So we had Nintendo, and I was playing a game, right? And you know the old games back in the day where to move to the next level, you have to defeat the boss on this level, right? Well, your fear is the boss on this level. In order to get to this level, you have to defeat the boss on this level. But guess what? When you get to the next level, there's going to be another boss there that you're going to have to defeat. But guess even wetter. And I just made that up. Guess even wetter. The fact that you were able to defeat the boss on the first level, right? Even when you think about video games, didn't it make it a little easier? Didn't you kind of go in knowing a little more to make that defeat a little easier, right? Literally. And I can take this back to a personal story. I jumped off the cliff in 2017, summertime. I got married in 2018. We went to Cozumel. My wife and I are on the boat. We're going on an excursion. We're going snorkeling. I don't know. Listen, I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm black. I don't know if you know, but just in case you didn't know, I'm black. And to post that stereotype, I don't jump in the middle of the ocean just cause, right? But because I was able to jump off the cliff, though, it took me 1 hour and 15 minutes to jump off that cliff. So when I say it's not going to happen immediately, it will not happen immediately. You have to put the work in, right? But because I did jump off that cliff, I jumped into the water on my honeymoon in 25 seconds. Within 25 seconds, my body was in the water. I panicked for 3 minutes, but we're not even going to talk about that. That has nothing to do with it. The fact of the matter is, I jumped in. And I experienced something that I would have never experienced. We swam with sea turtles. I saw a live stingray in its natural habitat, even though I'm still kind of salty because Steve Irwin, moment of silence. That was my guy. But we saw all kinds of fish, and the only thing I didn't see was a seahorse, which is crazy, but an experience that I would have never been able to experience. And that made me better as a person because now I can appreciate it more, right? We went to a starfish sanctuary. Did you know starfish were like this big? Like, those things were huge. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have never experienced this because I would have never been in this position if I would have never jumped off the cliff. So I'm telling you, out of experience and the people that I've helped and watched grow and flourish and blossom into their best selves at that moment, and then they're still growing and stretching and expanding, why would you not want to do that? So listen, playtime is over. It's time to get serious about what you want. And if you want to become the best version of you, you're going to have to fight the fight. I truly, truly hope this impacted and benefited someone out there. If you know anyone that this would benefit, please feel free to share and like and comment and subscribe to my YouTube because it's going on YouTube as well. And I'm going to do some things with this, but listen, I hope this resonated with someone out there. Someone needed to hear this. If you need a sign, here it is. If you need a sign. One thing I will leave you with. 2 things I'm going to leave you with. If you're really, really serious about stepping into your best self and taking a step on that journey to becoming your best self, please send me a DM. Send me a message. Send me a text message. Call me on the phone. However you want to get in contact with me, get in contact with me. Like, you should. you definitely should. Like, you get in contact with me. Um, what I need you to do is take 10 minutes of silence for yourself every single day, to yourself. Just meditate if you want, if you will. 10 minutes to yourself. And also adjust what you're consuming when it comes to social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you're feeling bogged down, adjust what you are feeding your brain, right? You can't feed your body constant carbs and expect to be ripped and lean. I don't know if you can be ripped and lean at the same time, but you know what I mean. You can't do that. So it starts up here. If you're serious, send me a DM. Let's get to work. Let's get to work on yourself. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Resilience in Action with Erin Brown. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. And I want you to remember one thing: resilience in action will always lead to a greater human experience.